We have a special guest. It's Max Blumenthal from the Grayzone. I'm here with Americans Comedian Kurt Metzger and Steph Zambrano. And so we got to get right to it because Max has got a heart out. So I want to talk about this. British police detained journalist Kit Clarenberg and interrogate him about the Grayzone. This really happened at the UK. And so they did it under the guise of fighting terrorism, right? So here, notice of detention under Schedule 3 to the Counterterrorism and Border Security Act 2019, Kit Clarenberg. So they're doing it as under the guise of fighting terrorism. But what does Kit do? He embarrasses the powerful and he exposes them. And so they're going to treat them like terrorists. That's what I told. Just like when Barack Obama repealed habeas corpus in the United States, which he did, all they have to do now is say you're a terrorist, and they don't have to give you a trial. They give you a thing called indefinite detention. That's why they have a thing called habeas corpus, so that they can't do stuff like that. The habeas corpus was in the Magna Carta. So we got rid of that. We are now operating on a Liberty View from somewhere along before the 1100s.
They call it that too?
Yeah, the habeas corpus? Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like a catch-up situation.
So here is what Kit Clarenberg does, and he did in the past year. He revealed how a cabal of Tory national security hardliners, that's a party in the UK, violated the Official Secrets Act to exploit Brexit and install Boris Johnson as prime minister.
I didn't know that.
In October 2022, he earned international headlines with his expose of British plans to bomb the Kerch Bridge connecting Crimea to the Russian Federation. And then came his report on the CIA's recruitment of two 9/11 hijackers this April, a viral sensation that generated massive social media attention. Among Clarenberg's most consequential exposés was his, now this is what I think really did it. In June 2022, his report unmasking a British journalist named Paul Mason as a UK security states collaborator, hell-bent on destroying the Grayzone and other media outlets, academics, and activists critical of NATO's role in Ukraine. So this guy's a phony. He pretended.
I was about to bring that up. That guy, I went on a hole of looking him up when we watched his stupid video, and like I couldn't believe it. Yeah, he's like, he's a moron, that guy.
So Kit outed that guy as being a tool for the CIA and for the intelligence community while pretending to be a lefty.
Intel input by proxy, I believe, were Paul's words.
So because Clarenberg's reporting on Mason relied heavily on leaked emails, Mason then falsely accused Kit Clarenberg from the Grayzone of assisting in a Russian state-backed hack and leak disinformation campaign. Mason has also reportedly Emma Bryant, now this is what, a self-styled disinformation expert. So we know if you're a disinformation expert, you're a tool of a billionaire and the establishment. You are not a disinformation expert. You're a tool.
I would say you are. It's just like you're really good at it.
Yeah, you're good at doing disinformation. So this woman, a self-styled disinformation, this woman, Emma Bryant, who participated in his campaign to sabotage NATO critics like the people at the Grayzone, dispatched lawyers to demand that Kit Clarenberg remove all of his articles that mention her from the internet. The lawyer letters also threatened costly super injunctions to prevent further reporting and challenged the authenticity of her email content. And then they even took down, Max Blumenthal says YouTube censored Aaron Mate and his factual discussion of Paul Mason's secret collusion with the UK state to harass and bully and relentlessly deplatform your Grayzone. It has done so on the basis of harassment and bullying.
Okay, that guy is such a tool, Paul Mason. This is how you know he's connected. Literally, no one's ever heard of Bellingcat that isn't directly connected to like new stuff. No one even really know about this. Did him go nuts like this and try to do it? Like shows it's real. Yeah. Because otherwise, I went, "Hey, you heard Paul Mason's working for the CIA, MI6?" People go, "Who is that?"
Then they'll go, "Who is that?" But he's the guy who got Grayzone's video taken down. Okay, so this is absolutely outrageous. Censorship of my friends and colleagues, in particular, sinister, given that I and the Grayzone received a formal cease and desist orders from Shoesmiths last week, along on behalf of. So the lawyers sent a letter saying cease and desist. They then censor the video. And then the cops in the UK say, "Hey, we want you to come in for an interview to Kit Clarenberg because we think you violated some computer safety act, right?" But then they send him another one saying, "Hey, you've been cleared. You don't have to."
Oh, same thing happened to Matt Taibbi. He got off.
So let me bring in Max Blumenthal from the Grayzone. So there's a lot that happened in this story. So where do you want to take it from here?
Well, so you've taken it up to September 2022 when the charges or the request by the British police for an interview with Kit Clarenberg, a journalist, over his factual journalism was dropped, and they said, "We dropped the investigation into you," by which they initiated, they said, because of an anonymous complainant who we suspect was either Paul Mason or Emma Bryant, just someone he embarrassed. But Kit lives in Belgrade, which is in Serbia. He is a citizen of the UK, and so he was coming back to the UK to visit his family and friends. And we were not, I guess I have to say, given the amount of heat he's been getting from the British authorities, who are the most authoritarian within the spectrum of NATO and do not respect free speech, as we can see from their torture of Julian Assange, their detention of a French publisher, Ernest Moret, a few weeks ago, interrogating him about his views of Emmanuel Macron and the protests against Macron, that they do not respect free speech or freedom of the press.
They'll come to your house for tweets. The cops will come to your house for tweets.
In UK, yeah.
They've detained Vanessa Beeley, who is a reporter focused on Syria and a British citizen. Joanna Ross, who is a reporter who previously worked at Sputnik, I believe, was detained. They tried to destroy the life of Craig Murray for his reporting, former British diplomat. You can go on down the line of the victims of Britain's fake liberal democracy. But we weren't shocked when Kit was detained on May 17th at Luton Airport. He landed, and they actually immediately after they landed, the captain told all the passengers to prepare your passports because British border police are waiting for you on the tarmac. And then they nabbed Kit. 6 plainclothes officers took him into a cell, and then for the next 5 hours they proceeded to interrogate him about his political views, his views on the British leadership, on the Ukraine proxy war, and they were obsessed with the Grayzone.
Well, here's some of the questions they asked about the Grayzone. A blizzard of questions relating to the Grayzone. After they asked him stuff like, how do you pay your electric bill? And is your electric bill included in your rent? Those are the kind of questions they were asking.
Really?
Him. Yeah. Then they asked him, how much was he paid by Grayzone, and how much and into which bank account?
Not enough.
Yeah. And they wanted to ask who owned Grayzone. How much contact did Clarenberg have with Max Blumenthal, the author of this article and editor of the Grayzone? Had he met Blumenthal in person? These are the questions.
That's crazy.
These are the questions that government enforcers are asking.
Terror police.
The terror police are asking a journalist. The counter-terror officers then rattled off a series of unfounded questions related to Russia. Does the Grayzone have an agreement of any kind with Russia's Federal Security Bureau, the FSB, to publish hacked materials? Has Clarenberg knowingly been in contact with any FSB operatives? Is he in touch with current or former personnel of Russian state media? Who owns the Grayzone, and is it sponsored by Russia? At this point, the officers took Clarenberg's bank cards out of the room for an extended period. They also seized his camera, memory cards, and SIMs, demanding he provide PIN codes so they could open them. What was done with my bank cards, I do not know. The same for the SD cards. What they got off these old and barely used cards was unclear. So let me bring in Max. Take it from here.
Yeah, this is a digital strip search. Kit had no right to refuse. He could not even refuse to answer the questions. If he refused to answer a single question, he would have been arrested. That is what he was told by these counter-terror officers. And they did so under this Section 3 of the 2019 Border Control Code. I haven't looked at it. Someone, a British reader of the Grayzone, sent me their look into it, and it pertains to Northern Ireland. It doesn't pertain to the media.
So that means they know that what they're doing. It's not like they're just doing their job and they have a real tip. It's we're going to harass this guy. and we know to do it with this technicality from something not related.
Yeah, we're going to treat a journalist as a terrorist. Journalism about national security, which actually exposes British involvement in terrorism, British violations of not just international law, but domestic law, the Official Secrets Act. Kit exposed the former MI6 director, Richard Dearlove, and current national security figures involved in an illegal campaign to infiltrate the civil service and to exfiltrate classified material from Theresa May's, then Prime Minister's, office. And nothing happened to them. Nothing happened to these criminals. Nothing happened to the criminals who were involved in bombing the Kerch Bridge that Kit exposed. Nothing's happened to Paul Mason with his career when he was plotting with an actual intelligence officer to destroy the Grayzone because he didn't like our criticism of NATO's involvement in Ukraine. Nothing happens to them. It all happens to the person who exposed them. They're killing the messenger and they're treating journalists like terrorists. It starts with Julian Assange and it flows down to the rest of us.
But I saw Rob Reiner told me that if I don't vote for Joe Biden today, that I'm going to lose my democracy.
Now give me your PIN codes and tell me who pays your electric bill.
So I know we're joking about it, but I bet that was pretty harrowing for Kit. Or was he reveling in it? I don't know. You tell me.
No, he definitely was not reveling in it. Just generally speaking, based on my conversations with him,
I would lose my temper and be arrested because that's a crazy thing. Like, you got to tell us because I know I'm not a terrorist, right? I don't have the smarts to be like, so they're British. They're coming at you with British accents with some.
I mean, just imagine you're living outside your country, but you're not. You come home to visit your parents who are maybe aging, and then you realize that you may never ever make it out of your country again, that your government is holding you as a prisoner inside your country. That was the fear that Kit had to grapple with, but he was ultimately let go. They did maintain they kept one of their SD cards in their possession, and so he's still under official investigation, and we don't know how this is going to end up. That's why it's so important that this be exposed, that people speak out about it, and that like these so-called press freedom NGOs actually say something. I know Kit's been in touch with Reporters Without Borders, and I hope that they issue a strong statement.
Yeah, they just well, can I just say kudos to them, because I would have assumed they were already illegally spying on all this shit without having to confiscate it.
But Reporters Without Borders is a sketchy organization.
Oh, totally.
And they just gave Zelensky kudos for his press freedom after he banned all opposition parties. And
Jimmy, what would you do if you were at war in America? You wouldn't ban people from speaking Spanish. You wouldn't say no elections. It's a war.
It's a war. Okay. So he is not right. So he's free now. Is he staying in the UK?
He may never return to the UK. And I mean, they interrogated him about me. They were, as you can see, they were obsessed with me. I'm not a British citizen. So, and I've spent a lot of time in the UK. I've done a lot of.
Wait, am I in trouble because I know you? I don't.
I mean, it's.
Should I go to this festival?
You're in trouble because you don't know whoever's.
I was in trouble a long time ago.
Handling.
I'm actually dragging your guys' reps down, to be honest.
You're in trouble because you don't know whoever's handling Paul Mason. But I don't. I wonder if I'll be allowed into the UK ever again. I have other journalist friends who left under advice from lawyers who were told that even though they were British citizens, that they were risking everything by staying there simply for expressing their opinions about what was taking place in the Ukraine and the British involvement there. So this is, Western liberal democracy.
So this is what a lot of people would call communism, right? They don't know what communism is, so they think that authoritarian stuff like this equals communism. But this is what capitalists do. Right, so capitalism.
Hey, Guantanamo's still open, by the way.
That's right. Guantanamo's still. This is what capitalism does. They turn into fascism, and we're at the end stage of capitalism because everybody's life is getting worse every day. Capitalism isn't making people's lives better anymore. It's making people's lives worse.
That's why we need public-private partnership.
Yeah, I mean, what is the CIA and MI6? They're the terrorist wing of the financial establishment in London and New York. So
it's exactly.
They're not exactly running around with copies of Lenin and Marx.
Exactly
well,
right.
If you hate Lenin and Marx, wasn't that what you hated about it? The shit that they're doing?
That's
strange. Didn't take you long to become the thing you hate.
Hey, everybody, check out my new stand-up special, COVID Lives Are Funny, only $10. And come see us live in Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, Los Angeles, Bakersfield, Baltimore, San Francisco, Huntington Beach, and more, Pottstown even. Go to jimmydore.com for a list of all of our things and see you there.